Hi, welcome to Advanced English with Steve UK, and of course, I'm Steve. Now, when it comes to attaining proficiency level English, the simple fact is that vocabulary becomes more and more important, in fact, more important than grammar. By the time you've finished B2, you've learned a lot of the grammar. Sure, there's more to learn, but the important thing to focus on is lexis, vocabulary. Now, if we take the wider term lexis, we're including lexical chunks, phrasal verbs, idioms, collocations. But there are also individual words which you need to know at a higher level. In this video, there are about 100 words. There are adjectives, verbs, nouns, and adverbs, and counting the fact that some of them are both verbs and nouns and so on. Yeah, there are about 100 of them. These are in addition to the 150 which I've already made a video of, and I'll be adding these to that video too. But for the moment, this is a separate video. Okay. So please make sure that you subscribe and do feel free to comment and ask questions. I love to receive questions, and I promise you that I will answer them. Okay? Right, with that being said, let's make a start. Here goes. Malicious. Adjective, harmful, spiteful. His malicious comments hurt her deeply, and she quit her job. Malleable. Adjective. Capable of being moulded or changed. Children's minds are malleable, but only for so long. Materialistic. Adjective. Superficial. Focus on material possessions. She's always boasting about new things she's bought. She's extremely materialistic. Melodramatic. Adjective. Extravagant or exaggerated, as of melodrama. She always creates a scene when people disagree with her. She's so melodramatic. We often call such people, and I'm afraid it refers to women, as drama queens. Modest. Adjective. Simple and humble. Also small in size and amount. They moved into a modest house in the countryside. Modify. To change, alter, or tweak. To tweak means to change slightly. The scientists modified the gene so that it wouldn't carry the disease. Momentous. Adjective. Historically significant. Her win in the election was momentous. Novel. Adjective. New. Innovative. We're looking for novel ways to approach the project. Nuance. Subtle difference in meaning. Body language experts even understand the nuances of facial expressions. Null. Legally void and ineffective. The government declared their marriage null. We often say as a collocation null and void. That is a binominal, null and void. Objectivity. judgment based on observations instead of emotions or opinions. In scientific research, objectivity is of utmost importance. Obsolete, no longer used, rare or uncommon. Historians assumed record players would be obsolete by now, but in fact they're making a huge comeback. Omnipotent, almighty and all-powerful. Gods are omnipotent beings who can control human destiny. Onset, the beginning or early stages. At the onset of her career as a lawyer, things were looking up. Ornate, highly detailed and decorated. That ornate silverware must be worth thousands of dollars. Oust, to remove or force out of office or out of a position. Sick and tired of putting up with his bad moods, the pirates ousted their captain. Maybe they made him walk the plank. Paramount, adjective, predominant, superior, most important. Our paramount concern is the safety of our employees. Peculiar, strange, bizarre. Upon entering the abandoned house, Kate experienced a peculiar feeling, as if someone was watching her. Perish, to die, to pass away. According to the news, nobody perished in the fire. Persecute, to cause suffering to. They will persecute anyone who doesn't agree with their views of the world. Petulant, cranky, pouty, irritable. Petulant children are especially difficult to care for. Pinnacle, highest level or degree. Many believe that composers such as Beethoven and Mozart represent the pinnacle of classical music. Pitiable, deserving pity, adjective. The frail-looking dog was pitiable, so I gave it some food and took it inside to care for it. Plausible, reasonable, and possibly true. Her story is plausible, but that doesn't mean she's telling the truth. Postulate, to assert. The literary critic postulates that romanticism and naturalism are actually interconnected. Potent, adjective, having great influence, having a strong chemical effect. The potion was definitely potent. It healed my wounds immediately. Pragmatic, practical, useful. Many people believe that it is more pragmatic to study engineering than it is to study philosophy. Precedent. Noun, an example or subject from earlier in time. The change in law is without historical precedent. It's a word that is often used in law. Predecessor, someone who comes before you, usually in position or office. My predecessor gave me many tips for running the office. Prescribe, to command, give orders, to issue authorization for medications. A doctor must prescribe you this medication before you can begin taking it. Prohibit, to command against or to outlaw. Alcohol was prohibited in the US in the 1920s. Yes, that was prohibition. Caused a lot of problems until it was repealed. Prompt, adjective, punctual, on time. Noun, a cue to begin something or instructions. Verb, to incite, propel, or cause to act. She's always prompt when it comes to turning in her homework. I had to write an essay based on a prompt. The possibility of a scholarship prompted him to apply to Harvard. Promulgate, to put into law or formally declare. The President will at last promulgate an amnesty with the neighbouring countries. Prosecute, to bring criminal action against someone in a trial. The suspected thief was prosecuted and found guilty. Provocative, intending to provoke, inspire, or arouse. Her nude paintings are considered quite provocative. Qualitative, involving qualities of something, features and content. I noticed a qualitative change in her paintings. Quantitative, involving quantities, numbers and amounts. We must conduct a quantitative analysis. Quirk, a strange habit. His biggest quirk is his love of old marbles. Marbles are little glass balls that children play with. Ramify, to split and spread into two or more branches. An elaborate system of canals was built, leading away from the River Thames and ramifying throughout England. And those canals still exist. It's quite fun to take a trip along them. Rash, without attention to danger or risk. Her rash decision to pass the car nearly resulted in a crash. Raw, adjective, unrefined, or not processed, uncooked, as in food. He's got raw talent as a singer, but he needs to work on his performance skills. In some countries, such as Japan, it is normal to eat raw fish. Readily, adverb, right away and without difficulty. Water was readily available at different points in the race. Reform, as a noun, a change for the better, an improvement. Verb, to improve, veer change. The reform made it so that those over 18 and only those over 18 can legally drive. The government reformed its vague policies about marijuana use. Refute, to prove to be untrue, unfounded or incorrect. The student refuted the professor's claim in class. Reinforce, verb to strengthen or add support to. We can use these pipes to reinforce the structure. Renounce, verb to give up, usually power or a position. It's a verb to cast off. Our CEO renounced her position yesterday. He renounced his friend after he caught her stealing money from him. Reproach, to criticize. The mother reproached her daughter's school for making students come in during a blizzard. Repudiate, verb to refuse to recognize as true, to cast off. The father repudiated his son's marriage. She repudiated her son once she found out he'd married someone without telling her. Retention, the act of keeping something. Water retention can make you weigh more on certain days. Satiated, adjective. Satisfied, usually referring to hunger. I felt satiated after eating a snack. Savvy, having practical intelligence or knowledge. My brother is not very savvy when it comes to using public transportation. Scandalous, adjective, morally offensive, often causing damage to one's reputation. The scandalous politician decided it was best to resign from office. Scorn, to look down on with disdain. It's difficult for me not to scorn those who use improper grammar. No, that's not true. I don't scorn them. I try to help them. Scrupulous, paying great attention to detail. I am a scrupulous proofreader and never miss an error. That's something else that isn't true. I'm a terrible proofreader. I can never see my own mistakes until someone else points them out to me. Secrete, to produce or release a substance. Trees secrete a sticky substance called sap. Sentiment. It's a noun, it's an opinion, and also a tender or moving gesture. I am of the sentiment that you should never give out your passwords to anyone. Well, obviously. Even though I'm not a big fan of porcelain dolls, I appreciate the sentiment. Sheer, so thin that light can shine through it. The curtains on the window were so sheer you could clearly see inside the house. You can also use this in other ways. You can say it was a sheer lie. Someone told a sheer lie. In other words, you could see through the lie. You could tell it was a lie. Simple. Adjective, easy, not complex. Undecorated. The maths problem is so simple even a first grader can solve it. The simple beauty of the ocean is what makes it memorable. Sinister. Adjective, ominous, evil. Medieval peasants believed sinister demons could harm humans. Solidarity, noun, the joining of commonalities or common purposes among a group. I stood in solidarity with other female students by refusing to wear the school's sexist uniform. Well, I would have if I was a female, obviously. Sparingly. Adverb, insufficiently, meagerly, or in a restricted manner. Due to my condition, I must eat salt sparingly. The condition here is usually high blood pressure, I think. Spawn, to release eggs, to call forth or generate. Frogs typically spawn in ponds. The topic spawned an ongoing debate among his family members. Spur, to stimulate or incite. Her bravery spurred others to act. Squalid, adjective, run down, sordid or sleazy. The squalid cabin needed a new roof and an exterminator. An exterminator, presumably because it was infested by insects or rats. Stark, very plain, devoid of any details or features. Looking out at the stark landscape, I felt a keen sense of isolation. Static, motionless or changeless. The ball is static. Her life has been static for the past 3 years. Nothing's changed. Subordinate, adjective, lower in rank. Noun, someone lower in rank. Verb, to make dependent or put at a lower rank. The subordinate officers work every day. My subordinate will check you in. You aren't my boss. You can't subordinate me to the role of receptionist. Notice the slight difference in pronunciation there when it's used as a verb. Subordinate rather than as an adjective and noun, subordinate. Subsequently, adverb, happening later or after something. After her appeal, the examiners subsequently reviewed her results and awarded her a pass. Substantial, adjective, very large in amount or degree. I was shocked to find a substantial amount of money beneath the park bench. Yes, well, you would be, wouldn't you? Substantiate, to strengthen with new evidence or facts. It is important for scientists to substantiate their theories whenever possible. Subtle, hard to detect or analyse. I detected in her expression a subtle hint of irritation. Sounds a little bit dangerous. Sufficient, adjective, enough, just meeting a requirement. These boxes should be sufficient for our move. Surly, unfriendly, inclined to anger. The bartender was a surly fellow who wasn't afraid to start a fight. Surly people are not very pleasant. Surmount, to get on the top of or overcome. They managed to surmount the language barrier by using a translation app. You are trying to surmount your knowledge of English vocabulary. Susceptible. Adjective, to be vulnerable to something. Children are more susceptible to certain illnesses than adults are. Tactful. Adjective, skilled at dealing with people. Her tactful attitude towards our class made her one of my favourite teachers. Taut. Pulled tight. The rubber band was taut and secured the rolls of papers tightly. You can also talk about someone being taut. They pull themselves together very tightly. They're uptight. Uptight, that is another way of describing them. Teeming. Adjective, abundantly filled, usually with living organisms. Verbs are not as clean as they look and are often teeming with germs. Temperament. Mood or feelings. She had a hostile temperament, making her intimidating to most people. Tentative. Not yet finalised. We haven't made any official arrangements yet, but the tentative location for our wedding is Hawaii. Lucky them. Tremendous, very large, good, or bad in degree or size. Tremendous news, I don't have to repay my loans. Ubiquitous, being everywhere at once. Cell phones are ubiquitous these days. Everyone has one. Unadorned, undecorated, plain. Though the dress was cheap and unadorned, it was by far her favourite one on the rack. Undermine, to weaken or subvert, usually gradually or secretly. Parents should take care not to constantly undermine their children. Undulate, to move as ripples or in a wavy pattern. Belly dancers are known for their ability to skillfully undulate their stomachs. Unjust, unfair, not justified. The court's decision is unjust. He should go free. Unmitigated, downright, utter, total. Her speech was an unmitigated disaster. This is a very commonly used collocation. Unmitigated disaster. Unprecedented, completely new, and never having happened before. Historic. The number of protesters was unprecedented. Unveil, to make visible, to reveal. We plan to unveil our plans for the new company project on Sunday. Urge, noun, desire or impulse. Verb, to encourage or persuade. He had the urge to tell his parents about his acceptance to Cambridge, but decided against it. Validate, to prove or declare valid. Your selfish actions do not validate your words. Viability, ability to be done in a practical or useful way. The viability of the solution is questionable. Vital, urgently necessary. It is vital that you respond by the deadline. Warrant, to prove to be reasonable. Wanting to look cool in front of your friends doesn't warrant breaking the law. Yield, noun, production of an amount. Verb, to give away to or surrender to. Verb, to produce or supply. The farmer's annual potato yield exceeded expectations. Cars turning right must yield to oncoming traffic. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. Now that was 100 useful words for proficiency level. Now remember, there is another video with 150 useful words. And you can look at that, but I'll also be combining this one with that one. So there'll also be a video of 250 useful words for proficiency level. And remember that they're also useful at advanced level. Now, to learn more vocabulary, in fact, more lexis, lexical chunks, collocations, idioms, phrasal verbs, and to speak to other learners as well as with me, then you can join our Chatterbox Zoom workshops. They are highly rewarding and great fun. They take place 3 times a week. The cost of joining is actually very low, considering that you get about 6 hours a week of sessions of lessons. And I really recommend them. They're a great way of learning and being able to not only learn all these lexical chunks, all this vocabulary, but to put them into practice by speaking to other learners. I put you into breakout rooms so you can discuss in pairs and in groups, as well as we chat all together. So have a look at the link in the description and hope to see you there. Until then, I shall say goodbye for now. So see you again soon. Take care and stay happy. Bye for now.